Okay. Mm.
Okay, he's got it.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
You got it, Edgardo.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
systems go.
yeah, I'm learning a lot.
All systems go,
Okay.
Houston.
Yes. All right now, I'd like us to have a little review or maybe a long review of the first part of the topic that we have had a while, I mean, last time. Uh, Let me just share with you the first part of it. And the title is Manage Your Anger. The theme of our topic today is that the goal of anger is to show what is wrong and correct it. I want all of us to keep in mind that that is the goal of anger, to show what is wrong and correct it. It is not the goal of anger to destroy any relationship, nor to destroy any work, nor anything that our hand can touch. Let me share with you our text. Our text today is James chapter 1, verses 19 and 20. Know this, my beloved brothers, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger, for the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God. Manage your anger and don't be managed by it. If we allow anger to be at the driver's seat, it will surely bring us to a place where there is fullness of regret and ill feelings. According to Chip Ingram, it is okay to be angry. We need to be. However, that we get angry about the right things and respond in the right way. You can't properly think and use anger in the right way if you let your emotion to overwhelm you. We really need reason to help us express our anger in such a way that is helpful and constructive. Anger is a problem when, number one, it is expressed in wrong ways. Number two, when it occurs frequently. Number three, when it lasts for too long. And number four, when it results in appropriate behavior. Anger needs to be expressed at the right time, in the right ways, for the right reasons, in the right degree, and for the right length of time. If anger is improperly expressed, it will surely bring disaster to anything that is dear to us. Anger is like fire, it dies out after leaving a destruction. You can see how dangerous anger is when it is expressed improperly. It can destroy so many things. We need to learn how to manage our anger properly. We need to remember also that we are not alone in giving solution to any of our problems. We have a Father above who is willing to give us all things. According to Romans 8:31 and 32, what then shall we say in response to this? If God is for us, who can be against us? He who did not spare his own son, but gave him up for us all, how will he not also, along with him, graciously give us all things? Here's my practical advice as to how to manage anger. Number one, measure away the result or the effect of what you are about to do. Do not be careless. Contemplate on it so that in the end, you will not regret it. According to Dr. Aaron Tivek, the way we perceive situations influences how we feel emotionally about the situations. So it is not the situation per se that affects how a person feels emotionally, but rather her or his thoughts about the situation. Our mind or reason matters a lot in producing an action. As Horace has said, rule your mind or it will rule you. You cannot blame anyone for your anger. No one has the power to make you angry unless you give them the power. There are four questions that we must ask ourselves about. Number one, what do I think about this? Number two, what do I feel about this? Number three, what do I say about this? And number four, what do I do about this? It is important that we learn the process of making a conscious decision. The key really is to intentionally measure or weigh your action prior to its execution. We have here words to ponder upon from the Bible for all people, Philippians chapter 4 verse 8. Finally, my friends, keep your minds on whatever is true, pure, right, holy, friendly, and proper. Don't ever stop thinking about what is truly worthwhile and worthy of praise. Proverbs 15, verse 28 says, the heart of the righteous weighs its answers, but the mouth of the wicked gusses evil. Number two advice that I would like to share with you is to develop a reconciliatory attitude. In other words, be a peacemaker by building a bridge. Avoid thinking of getting even, for it will make the matter worse. Let me share with you a relevant story. Jacob made an unwise decisions when he was younger. He deceived his father, Isaac, just to get the blessings that belonged to his brother Esau. His deception only destroyed the family relationships, especially with his brother. Even when Jacob successfully fled away from his brother, he never escaped experiencing the pain and deception that he caused Esau. Even when he was in an unfamiliar environment, Jacob had never really moved on. For many years, he kept in his heart the sin that he committed against his brother. No wonder that when the time came, he initiated reconciliation by sending gifts to Esau. Jacob sent his message to his brother. Your servant Jacob says, I have been staying with Laban and have remained there until now. I have cattle and donkeys, sheep and goats, men servants and maid servants. Now I am sending this message to my Lord that I may find favor in your eyes. It was really a difficult decision Jacob has made here, but it worked, and finally his brother and him have reconciled. We can read it in Genesis 3:33 verse 4. But Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. There are three ways to become a peacemakers, brothers and sisters. The first way is to avoid arguments. Any fool can start an argument. The honorable thing is to stay out of them. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 3. Are you a foolish or an honorable person? If you start conflicts, you are foolish. You avoid them, you are honorable. Number two, overlook offenses. A person's wisdom yields patience. It is to one's glory to overlook an offense. Proverbs 19, verse 11. William James, a famous psychologist, said, wisdom is the art of knowing what to overlook. The third way that we can use to become a peacemaker is to walk in love. Therefore, according to Ephesians chapter 5, therefore be imitators of God as beloved children, and walk in love as Christ loved us and gave himself up for us, a fragrant offering and sacrifice to God. What does it mean to walk in love? In our present subject, it only means being willing to forget about our personal interests in order to save a relationship. It is hard, but it cures. According to Yatko, only when people forget themselves and look on their lives as without value from this world's viewpoint do they win in the life that really matters. Words to ponder upon. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 29. A wise man controls his temper. He knows that anger causes mistakes. Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. Happy are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Luke chapter 6, verses 27 and 28. Love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, and pray for those who spitefully use you. Hallelujah. Number three, acknowledge your anger, but do not go beyond its expiry date. There's a difference between experiencing the emotion and expressing the emotion. If a person is immature or childish, he wouldn't know the difference, so ends up erupting like a volcano. A mature person always thinks of the possible effect of handling the situation irresponsibly. According to one author, our living is determined not so much by what life brings to us as by the attitude we bring to life. Not so much but by what happens to us as by the way our mind looks at what happens. Let me share with you some definitions of maturity as part of our review. Number one, maturity is the ability to control anger and settle differences without violence or destruction. Number two, it is patience, the willingness to pass up immediate pleasures in favor of the long term gain. Number three, it is perseverance, the ability to sweat out a project or a situation in spite of opposition or discouraging setbacks. Number four, it is unselfishness, responding to the needs of others, often at the expense of one's own desires or wishes. Number 5, it is the capacity to face unpleasantness and frustration, discomfort, and defeat without complaint or collapse. Number 6, it is humility. It is being big enough to say, I was wrong. And when right, the mature person need not say, I told you so. 7, it is the ability to take decision and stand by it. The immature spend their lives exploring endless possibilities, then do nothing. Number 8, it is the art of living in peace with that which we cannot change. Last but not least, number 9, maturity is when you have the power to destroy someone who did you wrong, but you just breathe, walk away, and let life take care of them. Brothers and sisters, when you acknowledge your anger, you acknowledge yourself. When you acknowledge yourself, you love yourself. And love always heals. Let's hear from the Apostle Paul. Be angry and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, and give no opportunity to the devil. Paul is saying that your anger should last only for a night. If it goes beyond it, it becomes dangerous and may cause the devil to work and injure you. Acknowledge your anger, but don't go beyond its expiry date. Otherwise, it will become a poison to you. Let me share with you Psalms 37 verses 8 and 9, verses 7 and 8. Don't be angry or furious. Anger can lead to sin. All sinners will disappear, but if you trust the Lord, the land will be yours. And let me share with you the last point that we have had as part of our review. Finally, exert effort to alter the way you treat another fellow. But the question is, how do we do this? And the answer is to focus your attention on the positive attributes that the person has. Do not let yourself focus on the bad sides of the person, but with the goodness they have. When you light a candle in the dark place, it gives light to the whole area. One good action of treating a person well, it creates a ripple effect. Brothers and sisters, it isn't our problem how people will treat us. Our problem really is how we will treat other people. Let me share a story with you. Many centuries ago in China, there lived a woman named Lily. She married a man, but alas, the man was good, but the mother-in-law was not. And Lily had to live with her mother-in-law. Her mother-in-law was a monster-in-law. Not a day passed without them fighting. Lily's husband was always caught in between the two women, and he did not know what to do. After a couple of years of this daily war, Lily had it. She believed there was only one solution to her problem. She had to kill her mother-in-law. So she searched for a herbalist. She found one herbalist named Mr. Wang. She asked him, Mr. Wang, my mother-in-law is an evil person. Do you have a poison so I can kill her? Mr. Wang was an old man who has heard the strangest of requests, and he was not surprised by this one. He simply nodded, went to his cupboards, and handed Lily a bottle of herbs. He said, I cannot give you a quick acting poison, or people will suspect you killed her. You have to kill her slowly. What you have in hand is a slow acting poison. All you must do is put a few drops into her food every day. Lily sighed in relief. She was holding the solution to her problems in her hands. Mr. Wang said, but so that no one will suspect you, you have to be exceedingly kind to your mother in law. No more raising your voice or fighting with her. Treat her like your own mother. Speak kindly to her. Serve her in small ways. Make her happy. So every day, Lily prepared delicious meal for her mother-in-law, secretly dropping the poison inside and following the instructions of Mr. Wang. She no longer fought with her, but tried her best to be kind to her. Every day, she controlled her temper. Every day, she tried to make her mother-in-law happy. After 6 months, the atmosphere at home totally changed. Gone were the fights. The mother-in-law treated Lily as her own daughter. In fact, she bragged to her friends that Lily was the best, kindest, most beautiful daughter-in-law in the entire world. One day, Lily ran to Mr. Wang, crying. She said, Mr. Wang, you have to help me. What's wrong? He asked. She said, can you give me herbs to stop the poison from killing my mother-in-law? I was so wrong. I love her now. She is really a good and kind woman. I just did not understand her. Oh, I do not want her to die. Mr. Wang smiled and said, don't worry. I never gave you poison. The herbs I gave you were vitamins to make her healthy. The poison was just in your mind and in your heart. But love, if you give it away every day, has a way of washing the poison away from your life. You know, there's one good lesson to that. When you start treating other people differently, a kind of treatment that you want others to do to you, there is a miracle of change that can really happen. Luke 6:31, words to ponder upon. As you wish that other would do to you, do so to them. Let me share with you the second part of our topic today. Let me first share the list of common anger triggers. And among the list, you can choose what really triggers you. Number one, when we feel categorized or stereotype. Number two, when we feel trapped. Number three, when we feel unfairly treated. Number four, when we feel blamed. Number five, when we feel ignored, misunderstood, insignificant, belittled, or put down. Number six, when we feel entitled to something and don't get it. Our expectations aren't met. Number 7, when we are given unsolicited advice, especially when we are prideful. Number 8, when we feel that someone treated us in a condescending way. Number 9, when we are teased insensitively. Number 10, when we are criticized. Number 11, when someone has not respected our limits. And number 12, when we are given ultimatum or threats. 13, when we are kicked, pushed, slapped, or hit. 14, when our space or territory has been invaded. Number 15, when we don't feel safe. 16, when we feel self-pity. 17, when we don't admit our imperfections. We make a lot of bad decisions when we're angry, my brothers and sisters. Proverbs 29, verse 22. A hot tempered person commits many sins. Anger is a problem when it is used in the wrong ways, occurs too frequently, lasts for too long, and results in an appropriate behavior. According to one preacher, hot heads and cold hearts never solve anything. Let me repeat, hot heads and cold hearts never solve anything. Let me add another advice that we can utilize in order to manage our anger well. Accept the fact that you are called and chosen to be different. This is very important, my dear brothers and sisters. I just want you to be reminded of the truth that you are a chosen person, you are a child of God, you are light and salt of this world. It is important that we know ourselves, my dearest brothers and sisters. You know what you are made of, you know who you really are, you know why you react the way you do, you know your strength and how to amplify them, you know your weaknesses and how to overcome them. When we know who we are and why we act the way we do, we can begin to understand our inner selves, improve our character, and learn to get along with others. James chapter 1 from Good News Bible, verse 18. By his own will, he brought us into being through the word of truth, so that we should have first place his among all his creatures. Romans 12 verses 1 and 2 from New International Version. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will. Another advice that I have here that I'd like to share with you: control your own emotion or your own anger or your own anger. Let me share story from from your country. It's about an experiment by Michael Hall. Michael Hall, the founder of Meta Coaching, was hired by the United States government to teach anger management to prison inmates. And for 3 years, that's what he did. He'd met these men who had so much anger and aggression in their heart. They were so angry at the father who abandoned them. They were angry at the prison guards. They were angry at the government. Michael did two things that were amazing. First, he asked the prisoners, try to make me angry. He allowed them to shout at him, curse him, and insult him. And that's what they did. As you can imagine, the prisoners were experts in insulting people. They cursed him in 7 languages. Their cursing vocabulary was extensive, but during the entire time, Michael just sat there in front of them smiling. After they spent all their energy, he told them, nothing you say to me can affect me. He was teaching them to own their anger. He told them, you can't blame anyone for your anger. When you own your anger, you're declaring that you're taking personal control of your emotions, and therefore you're taking responsibility for the consequence of your life. If you don't own your emotions, the opposite will happen. Your emotions will own you. You'll be the puppet of your emotions. Sadly, that's the reason many people are unsuccessful in life. They're puppets to their anger, to their sadness, to their fear, to their guilt, to their heart, to their lust, to their pride. The second exercise that Michael did was amazing. Michael also asked the prisoners, make yourself angry. Raise your anger level to a 10. That was pretty easy for the guys. They started to shout and scream. He always had burly guards beside him, just in case they went out of control. When the rage was at boiling point, he said, okay, bring it down now to a 9, now to an 8, now to a 7, now to a 6, to a 5, bring it up to 6 again, bring it down to a 5, and a 4, and a 3, and a 2, and a 1, and a 0. All of a sudden, the inmates had unbelievable realization. Oh my God, we can control our emotions. Here's an example of people who have discovered that they can own and control their anger. The secret to doing it is to never allow your emotions to lead you, but let your emotions to follow you. Proverbs 16 verse 32. Better a patient man than a warrior, one with self-control than he who takes a city. Let me share to you my conclusion. Anger can stir up trouble and keep it brewing, stewing, and simmering. The result, we make mistakes and misunderstand. We blame and belittle. We become mean and malicious. We demolish and demean. We become spiteful and sinful. When you are and I are angry, we tend to sin a lot. Anger that is not bridled nor righteously motivated can become a dangerous force. So, what do we do to avoid all this? In conclusion, number one, Measure or weigh the results or effect of what you're about to do, and don't be careless. Number two, develop a reconciliatory attitude. Be a peacemaker. Number three, acknowledge your anger, but don't go beyond its expiry date. Number four, exert effort to alter the way you treat other people. Number five, accept the fact that you are chosen and called to be different. Number six, control your emotion. Last but not least, be forgiving. Final verse to be founded upon. For God has not given us a spirit of cowardice, but of power and of love and wise discretion. 2 Timothy chapter 1 verse 7, Darby translation. Another translation, God's spirit doesn't make cowards out of us. The spirit gives us power, love, and self-control. For God gives us a spirit who produces not timidity, but power, love, and self-discipline. For God did not give unto us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and sound mind. God didn't give us a cowardly spirit, but a spirit of power, love, and good judgment. God bless us all. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Edgardo.
Yes, you're welcome, my brothers, sisters. I hope that all of you uh, are okay with the thing that I shared.
Good stuff, Edgardo. Good stuff. Thanks for sharing.
I'm more than okay. I'm thrilled.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm blessed to be listening